Thank you, Madam Deputy Chair, and I too would like to add my voice to the clamour, the chorus of appreciation to the Right Honourable Member for Chesham and Amersham for her, not just for sponsoring this debate today, but for all the work that she has done in this area over the years. This is a subject very close to my heart, and I'm speaking as a former teacher of English for over 20 years who witnessed firsthand some of the challenges and some of the obstacles that young people face living with autism. And this debate is important, not just because of the challenges that those living with autism have to cope with, but also because of the isolation, sometimes the bullying, the judgmental attitudes that they face from a society that too often simply does not comprehend this condition. And that's why we all, and I think there's consensus today, we all need to work hard, not just to raise awareness of this condition, but understanding of it. And in the long term, society's lack of understanding can leave an individual with autism quite emotionally scarred, and in the longer term can lead to difficulties accessing employment and the means to a fulfilling life. The scale of those affected by this condition is significant, and it's thought that more than 1 person in every 100 may be autistic. And behind each individual case, as we have heard today, are families, loved ones and friends who also live with this condition. A study in 2008 revealed that as many as 71% of children with autism also live with a mental health condition, such as anxiety, depression and obsessive-compulsive disorder. The Association of Graduate Careers Advisory Services found that 26% of graduates on the autism spectrum are unemployed, by far the highest rate of any disability group and more than double the average unemployment rate for disabled adults. And whilst figures are hard to establish, it's thought that only 15% of autistic adults in the UK are in full-time work. And a large-scale study in the British Journal of Psychiatry in November 2015 found that people with autism are more than twice as likely than their peers in the wider population to die prematurely. And it's important, and we've heard it today, that no two people with autism are the same. There's a whole spectrum of the condition which may perhaps explain the gaps in understanding of the condition in the wider population. But we know that it can be quite debilitating for the individual involved, as well as his or her family, if they suffer from the condition with any severity. Progress has been made, but it's important that as much work as possible continues to be undertaken to promote, as I have said, not just awareness, but understanding. And recent work undertaken by the National Autistic Society found that only 16% of those living with autism and their families felt that the general public had a meaningful understanding of it. But I'm optimistic. I believe that folk, on the whole, at heart, are decent. And if we raise awareness, or if we can help to raise awareness, and this debate, I think, is a small part of that, if we can help to raise awareness and understanding of this condition, we understand that the public will display more sensitivity, more kindness and more compassion towards those living with this condition. Indeed, I will.
I welcome very much the Honourable Lady's speech, and she speaks with great passion and eloquence. Would she also welcome the schools that do so much, not only to help the understanding of the local community, but also the children who are there with on the autistic spectrum to interact with the world as it is? Because so much is being done by schools such as Grange Park in my own constituency, and I'm sure in hers too.
Take on board the Honourable General's very important point that we've talked today. We've heard today that some schools there's a deficit of understanding and a deficit of work or support going on, but there are also excellent examples of teachers who have had quite thorough training in autism and are able to support children in a quite specialised way and help them access the curriculum in quite a meaningful way that otherwise wouldn't take place. And I think we have to recognise that and share that good practice around the entire UK wherever it exists. It's important that when we raise understanding of autism, that will help. We need to understand that will help to erase to remove the shadow of loneliness and isolation that far too often those living with autism and their families bring. We know that loneliness and isolation has a very negative impact on the general health and well-being of those affected by it. And it's considered that loneliness is as damaging to health as smoking. And that puts into sharp focus the importance of this. Before I finish, Madam Chair, I want to just pay tribute to work going on in my own constituency. During the Easter recess, I attended an event in our Drawson Library. I also attended it last year, and that's where people living with autism and their families come together and share stories about the challenges they face and the coping strategies they use. And I want to pay tribute to Suzanne Fernando in my constituency, who organises this event and who does so much work to help promote understanding of autism. And I'm quite proud of the work going on in Scotland, in the Scottish Government, with the Scottish Strategy for Autism, putting this on the agenda, raising awareness of it, putting resources into it, because when children and young people and adults with autism lose out, they are a loss to our society, and we need to be more inclusive and mindful of that. Thank you.